Here's something that will blow your mind. There's one mistake that almost every guy makes with women. And the second you stop doing it, everything changes. Suddenly, women who seemed indifferent start paying attention. Women who were pulling away start leaning in. Women who were playing hard to get start making themselves available. And the crazy part? You're probably doing this mistake right now without even realizing it. It feels natural. It feels like the right thing to do. Society told you this is how you show interest, how you pursue someone, how you demonstrate that you care. But it's actually killing attraction before it even has a chance to develop. The good news? Once you understand what this mistake is and why it destroys attraction, stopping it is simple. And the results are almost immediate. Let me show you exactly what you need to stop doing. 1. The mistake that's killing your chances without you knowing. Alright, let's rip the band-aid off. The mistake almost every man makes is this: seeking her validation and approval instead of being genuinely yourself. You're trying to win her over instead of just being someone worth knowing. You're performing instead of connecting. You're seeking instead of offering. This shows up in 1,000 different ways, and you're probably doing at least half of them without realizing it. You agree with everything she says, even when you have a different opinion. You laugh at jokes that aren't funny. You rearrange your entire schedule around her availability. You text her constantly, hoping she'll respond. You compliment her excessively. You ask permission for things you should just decide. You defer to her preferences, even when you have strong ones of your own. Every single one of these behaviors, which feel like you're being nice or showing interest, actually communicate something terrible. Neediness. They signal that you need her validation to feel good about yourself, that you're willing to abandon who you are for her approval, that she has more value than you do. And nothing kills attraction faster than neediness. Here's what the research shows. Women are attracted to men who have their own center, their own life, their own opinions and preferences. Men who are offering connection rather than seeking validation. The second you flip from being your authentic self to performing for approval, attraction dies. Sometimes slowly, sometimes instantly, but it always dies. Think about how this feels from her perspective. When you're constantly seeking her approval, you're putting an enormous burden on her. You're making her responsible for your emotional state. If she doesn't respond enthusiastically to everything you do, you're disappointed. If she doesn't validate you constantly, you feel rejected. That's exhausting. That's pressure. That's the opposite of what makes her want to be around you. The brutal truth is that when you're seeking validation, you're not actually interested in her as a person. You're interested in what she can give you. Approval, validation, proof that you're worthy. She can feel that. Women are incredibly sensitive to whether someone genuinely sees them or is just using them as a mirror to reflect their own worth. And when they sense the latter, attraction evaporates. Here's the paradox that confuses most men. You think showing more interest will create more attraction. So you pursue harder, compliment more, make yourself more available, try to prove your worth. But every step in that direction actually decreases attraction, because you're moving away from authentic connection and toward desperate validation seeking. The version of you she was initially attracted to, if there was initial attraction, was probably the version that wasn't trying so hard. The version that was just being yourself, not overthinking, not performing. But then, once you realized she might be interested, you switched modes. You started trying. And that trying, that effort to win her approval, that's what killed it. The mistake isn't caring about her. The mistake is caring more about what she thinks of you than about who you actually are. 2. What actually happens in her mind when you stop seeking validation. Now let's talk about what changes when you stop making this mistake. When you shift from seeking validation to just being authentically yourself, something fascinating happens in her psychology. The dynamic completely flips, and suddenly you become significantly more attractive. First, you become unpredictable in the best possible way. When you're seeking validation, you're predictable. She knows exactly what you'll do. Agree with her, compliment her, be available whenever she wants, prioritize her above everything else. There's no mystery, no challenge, no intrigue. But when you stop doing that, when you start having your own opinions and maintaining your own life, you become interesting again. Women are drawn to uncertainty in the early stages of attraction. Not cruel uncertainty or game playing, but genuine uncertainty about whether you're fully won over. When you're not falling all over yourself to gain her approval, when you're evaluating whether she's a good match for you as much as she's evaluating you, that creates the kind of healthy tension that fuels attraction. Second, you trigger something psychologists call reactance theory. When something feels too available, too eager, too easy, humans naturally value it less. But when you're not constantly available, not always agreeing, not seeking her approval, her mind starts wondering, wait, why isn't he trying to impress me? What does he see that I don't? Is he actually interested? That psychological shift is powerful. Suddenly, she's thinking about you more, not less. Third, you demonstrate self-respect and boundaries. Women are attracted to men who respect themselves enough to have standards, preferences, and boundaries. When you stop seeking validation, you naturally start expressing what you actually think, want, and need. You disagree when you disagree. You say no when something doesn't work for you. You maintain your plans instead of dropping everything for her. All of this signals self-respect, which is incredibly attractive. Fourth, and this is huge, you become someone who adds value instead of someone who needs validation. When you're confident enough to just be yourself, you bring your genuine personality, your humor, your perspectives, your energy to the interaction. You're contributing to the experience rather than extracting validation from it. Women can feel that difference immediately. Here's what happens neurologically. When you're seeking validation, you're creating a dynamic where she's the prize and you're competing for it. Her brain registers that power dynamic and attraction decreases because you've positioned yourself as lower value. But when you stop seeking validation, when you show up as an equal who's evaluating mutual compatibility, the dynamic balances. Now there's mutual interest, mutual evaluation, mutual respect. That's where real attraction thrives. The fascinating part is that when you stop trying to win her over, she often starts trying to win you over. Not in some manipulative way, but because humans naturally want what they're not sure they can have. When your approval becomes less certain, it becomes more valuable to her. When she realizes you have standards and she might not meet them, she becomes more invested in showing you she does. Women also start feeling safer around you. When you're not seeking validation, you're not needy. And neediness feels unsafe to women because it signals that you might become clingy, demanding, or emotionally unstable. But when you have your own center, your own life, your own sense of self that doesn't depend on her, she can relax. She doesn't have to manage your emotions or be responsible for your self-esteem. That safety creates space for genuine attraction to develop. When you stop needing her approval, you become someone whose approval she wants. That's when everything changes. Number 3, the specific behaviors you need to stop right now. Let's get practical. What does seeking validation actually look like in behavior? Let me show you exactly what to stop doing, and more importantly, what to do instead. Stop excessive complimenting. If you're constantly telling her how beautiful, amazing, special, or incredible she is, stop. One genuine, specific compliment is worth more than 1,000 generic ones. And more importantly, compliments should come from genuine appreciation, not from trying to win favor. Instead of complimenting to gain approval, notice things about her genuinely and mention them occasionally, not constantly. Stop being available all the time. If you drop everything the second she texts, if you're always free whenever she wants to hang out, if you rearrange your entire life around her schedule, stop. Have your own life. Make plans and keep them. Don't be rude or unavailable, but don't abandon your own priorities to be at her constant beck and call. Instead, have genuine things going on in your life and fit her into your schedule in a way that works for both of you. Stop agreeing with everything she says. If you find yourself nodding along to opinions you don't actually share, afraid to disagree because you might upset her, stop. Have your own thoughts. Express your actual opinions respectfully. Disagree when you genuinely disagree. Instead of being an echo chamber, be a real person who has their own perspective and can engage in actual discussion. Stop apologizing for everything. If you're constantly saying sorry for things that don't warrant apology, if you're walking on eggshells, afraid of upsetting her, if you're apologizing for having needs or taking up space, stop. Apologize when you've actually done something wrong, but stop apologizing for existing. Instead, be unapologetic about who you are, while still being considerate and respectful. Stop the excessive texting. If you're texting her constantly throughout the day, if you're always the one initiating, if you're writing paragraphs while she's sending one-word replies, stop. Match her investment level. Don't chase. Don't fill every silence with more messages. Instead, text when you have something genuine to say and let there be space between conversations. Stop asking permission for everything. If you're constantly asking, "Is this okay?" or "Would you like me to?" or "Can I?" for basic decisions, stop. Make decisions. Take initiative. Lead sometimes. Instead of seeking permission, make suggestions, take action, and trust yourself to handle feedback if something doesn't land well. Stop over-explaining and justifying yourself. If you find yourself explaining why you did something, why you feel a certain way, why you made a particular choice, desperate for her to understand and approve, stop. You don't need to justify your existence. Instead, be straightforward about things and let them stand without excessive explanation. Stop fishing for reassurance. If you're constantly asking if she had a good time, if she likes you, if everything is okay between you, if she's still interested, stop. That insecurity is transparent and unattractive. Instead, trust that if there's a problem, she'll bring it up, and focus on being present in the moment rather than constantly checking the temperature. 4. What to do instead that actually creates attraction. Stopping the validation-seeking behavior is crucial, but it's only half the equation. Let's talk about what you should actually do instead. What does authentic, attractive behavior look like in practice? First, focus on mutual evaluation, not one-sided pursuit. You're not trying to win her. You're both figuring out if there's compatibility. Approach interactions with genuine curiosity about who she is, whether her values align with yours, whether you actually enjoy her company beyond physical attraction. When you're genuinely evaluating fit, rather than trying to impress, your energy completely changes. You ask better questions, you're more present, you're less anxious, because the outcome doesn't determine your worth. Second, maintain your life and priorities. Keep doing the things that matter to you. Keep seeing your friends. Keep pursuing your goals and interests. Invite her into your existing life, rather than creating a new life around her. This isn't about playing hard to get. It's about genuinely having a life that's engaging and fulfilling, independent of any relationship. That life, that fullness, that's what she wants to be part of. Third, be genuinely yourself from day one. Don't present some improved, polished version. Be the actual you. Quirks, preferences, opinions, sense of humor, all of it. Yes, this might mean some women won't be interested. That's the point. You want someone who likes the real you, not someone who likes a performance you can't maintain long term. Authenticity is filtering for compatibility, while validation seeking is just collecting approval from anyone who'll give it. Fourth, have and express your own opinions. When she asks what you think, tell her. When you disagree with something, say so respectfully. When you have a preference about where to eat or what to do, express it. Don't defer everything to her. Be a full person with your own perspectives. This creates dynamic, interesting conversation instead of boring agreement. Fifth, set and maintain boundaries. If something doesn't work for you, say so. If you need space or time for your own things, take it. If she does something that bothers you, address it calmly and directly. Boundaries aren't mean or selfish. They are necessary for healthy relationships. And they signal self-respect, which is attractive. Sixth, be comfortable with disagreement and tension. Not every interaction needs to be smooth and pleasant. Sometimes you'll disagree. Sometimes there will be friction. That's normal and healthy. Don't rush to smooth over every rough edge. Be comfortable letting things be uncomfortable sometimes. That willingness to stay present through tension shows emotional strength. Seventh, give genuine compliments sparingly. When you notice something specific and authentic about her, mention it. But not constantly, not as a strategy, just as genuine appreciation. I really appreciated how you handled that situation. Or, your perspective on that was interesting. Is worth infinitely more than "you're so beautiful" for the 50th time. Eighth, let her invest and pursue sometimes. If you're always the one initiating, always the one planning, always the one pursuing, pull back a bit. Create space for her to step forward. Attraction builds through mutual pursuit, not one-sided chasing. If she never initiates or pursues, that's important information about her level of interest. Ninth, be outcome independent. Care about the connection, but don't be attached to a specific outcome. If it works, great. If it doesn't, you'll be fine. That emotional freedom is incredibly attractive because it removes pressure and allows authentic connection to develop naturally. 10th, focus on creating genuine experiences together rather than impressing her. Instead of trying to show off or prove your worth, just be present and engaged in whatever you're doing together. Have actual conversations. Do things that are genuinely fun for both of you. Create real memories rather than performative dates designed to impress. The underlying principle in all of this is shifting from seeking external validation to offering authentic connection. You're not trying to get something from her. You're seeing if there's something worth building together. That shift in energy, from taking to giving, from seeking to offering, from performing to being, that's what creates real, lasting attraction. Stop trying to be chosen. Start choosing. That's when she suddenly wants to be chosen by you. Here's what women report when men make this shift. They say things like, "I don't know what changed, but suddenly I was way more attracted to him." Or, "He stopped trying so hard and became so much more interesting." Or, "I started pursuing him instead of him chasing me." The common thread is that when you stop seeking, you become more attractive. When you stop performing, you become more genuine. When you stop needing approval, your approval becomes valuable. The time frame for seeing results varies, but often it's surprisingly quick. Women are incredibly sensitive to shifts in energy and dynamic. When you stop seeking validation, even in one interaction, she'll often notice and respond differently. Sometimes immediately, sometimes over a few interactions. But the change in dynamic is usually apparent quickly. You don't need her validation to be valuable. You're already valuable. Acting like you know that is what creates attraction. The ultimate realization is this: the validation you were seeking from others, the approval you were desperate for, the feeling of being wanted and chosen, all of that comes from within once you stop looking for it externally. When you validate yourself, when you approve of yourself, when you choose yourself, everything changes. You don't need anyone else to complete you or confirm your worth. You're already complete. And here's the beautiful irony. The second you stop needing validation from others, they want to give it to you. When you stop chasing approval, people start offering it. When you stop seeking to be chosen, people start choosing you. Because humans are naturally drawn to people who are complete, confident, and comfortable in themselves. The validation you were seeking from her, give it to yourself. That's when she'll suddenly want to give it to you too.